The rain had been falling since morning, slow and heavy, the kind that soaked into the ground and stayed there. It was nearly midnight when Ethan Miller heard the sound. It was not a knock. Not really. It was more like a weak scratching, mixed with a low sound that felt like a cry, but did not want to become loud. Ethan sat up on his couch, heart suddenly beating faster. He lived alone in a small house at the edge of town. No close neighbors. No late-night visitors. The wind often played tricks on his ears, but this sound was different. It felt alive. He muted the TV and listened. Scratch. A pause. A soft, broken whine. Ethan stood up slowly and walked toward the front door. With every step, his chest felt tighter. He did not know why. Maybe it was the way the sound carried pain inside it. Maybe it was because something deep inside him already knew this night would change everything. He opened the door. Standing there, under the yellow porch light in the cold rain, was a German shepherd. Her fur was dark and soaked, sticking to her thin body. Her eyes were wide, deep brown, and filled with fear. But that was not what froze Ethan in place. In her mouth, held with the softest care, was a tiny puppy. The puppy did not move. The mother dog stepped forward once, then stopped. Her legs shook. She lowered her head slowly and placed the puppy on the porch, right at Ethan's feet. Then she looked up at him. That look was not wild. It was not angry. It was not even scared. It was begging. Ethan dropped to his knees without thinking. The porch boards were cold and wet, but he did not care. He reached out and touched the puppy gently. The little body was limp, too limp. The puppy's breathing was so weak Ethan could barely feel it. "Oh no! No, no," he whispered. The mother dog let out a low cry, almost like she was answering him. She stepped closer, pressing her wet nose against Ethan's arm, as if to say, "Please, I brought him to you. You are all I have." Ethan had never owned a dog. After his wife died 3 years ago, he avoided anything that could make his heart hurt more. Love, he believed, always came with loss. But right now, that belief meant nothing. He scooped the puppy into his hands and felt how cold the little body was. "He's alive," Ethan said quickly, moored himself into the dog. "He's still alive." The mother dog's ears lifted. Ethan stood and waved his arm. "Come inside, please, both of you." She did not hesitate. Inside, Ethan wrapped the puppy in a towel and laid him on the kitchen table. He grabbed another towel and gently dried the puppy, rubbing carefully, hoping to bring warmth back into the tiny body. The mother dog sat close, never taking her eyes off her baby. She did not bark. She did not move. She only watched. Ethan checked the puppy's mouth. Pale gums. Very bad. He tried to remember anything he had ever seen about saving animals. He warmed some water, mixed a little sugar, and touched it to the puppy's lips with his finger. "Come on, little guy," he whispered. "Stay with me." The puppy twitched. The mother dog let out a sharp breath, like hope escaping her chest. Minutes passed like hours. Ethan rubbed, warmed, prayed. He had not prayed since his wife's funeral. But tonight, the words came without effort. Finally, the puppy took a tiny breath. Then another. "He's breathing," Ethan said, his voice breaking. "He's breathing." The mother dog stood and rested her head on the edge of the table, her nose almost touching her baby. Her eyes filled with something Ethan had not expected to see in an animal. Relief. But Ethan knew this was only the beginning. The puppy was still in danger. And something told him this mother dog had walked a very long, very painful road to reach his door. As the storm raged outside, 3 lives, broken in different ways, had just collided. None of them knew it yet, but this night would change the past, the present, and the future forever. While Ethan worked to keep the puppy alive, the mother dog lay down on the kitchen floor, exhausted. Her chest rose and fell fast, and her body trembled. She had given everything she had left just to reach this door. If she could speak, this is what her story would have sounded like. She had once had a home, not a warm one, not a loving one, but a place with walls and a yard. She had been young then, strong, proud, a chain around her neck, a bowl that was sometimes full, sometimes empty, a man who shouted more than he touched. Then one day, she had puppies. 6 of them. For the first time in her life, she felt joy. Real joy. She fed them, cleaned them, protected them. Even when food was scarce, she pushed it toward them with her nose, choosing hunger over letting them suffer. But the man did not want puppies. One by one, they disappeared. She searched. She cried. She pulled at her chain until her neck bled, but she could not save them. All except one, the smallest. She broke free one night during a storm. The chain snapped against the fence, tearing her skin, but she did not stop. She ran with the puppy in her mouth, rain blinding her, fear driving her forward. For days, she walked. She begged for food. She hid from cars. She slept in ditches and under abandoned sheds. The puppy grew weaker. He stopped crying. He stopped moving. Still, she walked. She did not know where she was going. She only knew she had to keep moving until she found help, until she found someone who would not turn away. And somehow, through pain, hunger, and fear, she found Ethan's door. Back in the kitchen, Ethan noticed the scars on her neck, the ribs showing through her fur, the way she flinched when he moved too fast. "You've been through hell, haven't you?" he said softly. She looked at him, and for the first time since entering the house, her tail moved, just a little. Ethan called the emergency vet. The clinic was far, and the storm made it worse. They told him to keep the puppy warm and bring him in at first light. He sat on the floor all night, the puppy against his chest, the mother dog pressed against his side. For the first time in years, Ethan did not feel alone. But dawn would bring answers and dangers he was not ready for. Morning light crept through the window, gray and weak. Ethan had not slept. The puppy was still breathing, but it was shallow. Every breath felt like a question. The mother dog lifted her head when Ethan stood. She followed him everywhere, her eyes locked on the puppy. She trusted him now, fully. That trust scared Ethan more than anything. At the vet clinic, people stared. Some whispered, a stray dog, a dying puppy, a tired man with red eyes. The vet took the puppy immediately. "You did the right thing," she said. "But I won't lie, it's bad." The mother dog tried to follow, but the door closed. She cried, not loud, not wild, just a broken sound that made everyone in the room go silent. Ethan knelt and held her. "I promise," he whispered, "I won't leave." Minutes passed, then hours. Finally, the vet returned, and what she said next would change everything. The vet did not sit down. She stood in front of Ethan, holding a clipboard tightly, as if it might keep her steady. Her eyes moved from Ethan to the mother dog and back again. "We found internal bleeding," she said slowly. "The puppy is severely dehydrated and hypothermic. He also has an infection that's been growing for days." Ethan felt his chest tighten. "But he's alive," he said quickly. "He made it through the night." The vet nodded. "Yes, and that's because of you, and because of her." She glanced at the mother dog. But surviving the night and surviving the week are very different things. The mother dog sensed a shift in the room. She stood, ears alert, body tense. Her eyes never left the vet's face. "What are his chances?" Ethan asked. The vet exhaled. "Right now, 30%, maybe less." The words landed like glass breaking inside Ethan's head. 30%. The mother dog let out a low growl, not angry but afraid. Ethan dropped to his knees and placed his hand on her chest. He could feel her heart racing, like it was trying to escape. "There's more," the vet continued. "We can try aggressive treatment for fluids, antibiotics, monitoring day and night, but it's expensive. And even then," she paused, "there are no guarantees." Ethan didn't ask how much. He already knew the answer would scare him. Still, he said it. "How much?" The number was more than Ethan had in his savings. The room felt smaller, the walls closer. For a moment, old pain rose in his chest. The hospital bills from his wife's illness, the choices that never felt like choices at all. "I understand if you can't," the vet said gently. "He's a stray. No one would judge you." The mother dog stepped forward and placed her paw on Ethan's knee. It was not trained behavior. It was instinct. She looked up at him, eyes steady, trusting. She had crossed storms, roads, hunger, and fear to reach him. She had chosen him. Ethan swallowed hard. "Do it," he said. "Whatever it takes. I'll figure out." The vet nodded once. "We'll start immediately." As the puppy was taken away again, the mother dog tried to follow. Ethan held her gently, wrapping his arms around her strong, shaking body. "I'm here," he whispered. "I'm not leaving." She leaned into him, all her weight pressing against his chest, like she was holding herself together with his promise. Time moved strangely at the clinic. Minutes stretched like hours. Hours collapsed into nothing. Ethan sat on the floor against the wall because the chair felt too far away from the door where the puppy had disappeared. The mother dog stayed beside him. She did not sleep. She barely blinked. Every sound made her ears twitch. Every footstep made her lift her head. People came and went. Some glanced at them and looked away. Others smiled sadly. A little girl approached once, holding her father's hand. She knelt and held out her fingers. The mother dog sniffed them, then licked them softly. "She's a good mama," the girl said. Ethan felt his throat close. Hours later, the vet returned. "He made it through the first treatment," she said. "That's good news." Ethan let out a breath he didn't know he was holding. "But," she added, "the next 24 hours are critical." The puppy was placed in a clear box with tubes and wires. His tiny chest rose and fell with help from machines. Ethan pressed his hand to the glass. "Hey," he whispered, "you're safe now." The mother dog lay beside the box, her nose pressed against the plastic. She watched every breath like it was her own. That night, Ethan dreamed of his wife. She stood in the rain, smiling softly. "You didn't stop loving," she said. "You just forgot how." He woke with tears on his face and the mother dog's head resting on his chest. For the first time since his wife died, Ethan felt something crack open inside him. Hope. The next morning, as sunlight filled the clinic, the front door opened. A man stepped inside. The mother dog stiffened instantly. Her body lowered, her lips pulled back. A deep, warning growl filled the room. Ethan looked up confused. The man froze. His eyes widened when he saw the dog. "That's her," he said sharply. "That's my dog." The words hit Ethan like a punch. The mother dog lunged forward, stopping only because Ethan held her collar. Her entire body shook with fear and rage. The man pointed at her neck. "See the collar marks? She ran away, stole my property." The room went silent. Ethan looked down at the scars he had noticed before. Suddenly, they made terrible sense. The vet stepped forward. "Sir, this dog arrived as a stray, with a dying puppy." "That puppy's mine too," the man snapped. "I want them back." The mother dog cried out, a sound so full of terror it made people gasp. Ethan stood, and in that moment, he knew this story was far from over. The clinic felt colder after the man's words. "My dog." Ethan stood between the man and the mother dog without even thinking about it. His hands shook, but his voice did not. "She's terrified of you," Ethan said. "Look at her." The man crossed his arms. He smelled like oil and old smoke. "Dogs get scared. That doesn't mean anything. She ran off. That's theft." The mother dog pressed herself against Ethan's legs, trembling so hard her nails clicked against the floor. Her eyes were wide, locked on the man like he was a shadow that had finally caught up to her. The vet spoke calmly but firmly. "Sir, we need proof of ownership." The man scoffed. "You think I keep papers for a mutt?" "That mutt," the vet replied, "arrived malnourished, injured, and with a dying puppy. If she was in your care, that raises serious concerns." The man's face darkened. "You people always think you know better." Ethan felt something old rise inside him. A fire he thought had gone out with his wife. "She didn't run away," Ethan said. "She escaped." The man laughed. "And you know that how?" Ethan looked down at the scars around the dog's neck, at the way she flinched when the man shifted his weight, at the way she trusted Ethan with her life. "Because she walked through a storm with her dying puppy to find help," Ethan said. "That's not a thief. That's a mother." Silence filled the room. The vet nodded. We'll contact animal control. Until then, the dog and puppy stay here. The man slammed his hand on the counter. This isn't over. When he left, the door echoed behind him. The mother dog collapsed onto the floor, her legs giving out. Ethan knelt beside her, wrapping his arms around her shaking body. "You're safe," he whispered, though he wasn't sure it was true. Animal control arrived later that day. They examined the scars, took photos, listened to the vet. Ethan told them everything. The nights, the rain, the way she had begged without making a sound. One officer shook her head. "We see this too often." "But what happens now?" Ethan asked. "We investigate," she said, "and we protect them." For the first time since the man arrived, the mother dog lifted her head. She believed those words. The puppy survived the night. Then another. His body was weak, but his spirit was stubborn. The vet smiled when she checked his vitals. This little guy doesn't know how to give up. Ethan visited every hour he was allowed. He talked to the puppy, telling him about the world outside the box, about sunlight, about grass, about safety. The mother dog watched, her eyes soft now. When Ethan spoke, her tail moved. On the third day, something incredible happened. The puppy opened his eyes. They were cloudy, unsure but alive. The mother dog froze. Then she let out a sound so gentle and full of love that everyone in the room stopped what they were doing. Ethan laughed through tears. "Hey there, fighter." The puppy's tiny tail twitched. It was not much, but it was everything. The vet warned them. He still has a long way to go. Ethan nodded. "So do we?" That night, Ethan took the mother dog home under temporary care approval. She walked slowly through his house, sniffing every corner, unsure but curious. When she reached the living room, she stopped. On the wall was a photo of Ethan and his wife. The dog sat in front of it and looked up. Ethan felt tears burn his eyes. "Her name was Lily," he said. "She loved dogs." The mother dog turned and rested her head on Ethan's knee. Something unspoken passed between them, a promise. 3 days later, Ethan woke to the sound of barking, not playful, warning. The mother dog stood at the front door, teeth bared, body rigid. Ethan's phone rang. It was animal control. The man filed claim. The officer said he wants custody returned. Ethan's stomach dropped. "After everything? We're fighting it," she said. "But there's a hearing." Ethan looked at the dog, at the life that had walked into his world uninvited and changed him forever. "I won't let them take you," he said. The mother dog pressed her forehead against his chest. Outside, a car slowed near the house. Ethan's heart raced. The battle was not over. It was just beginning. The morning of a hearing arrived heavy and gray, as if the sky itself was unsure how the day should end. Ethan woke before his alarm. He lay still for a long moment, listening to quiet house, the ticking clock, the hum of the refrigerator, the slow, steady breathing of the German shepherd curled beside his bed. Grace's head rested on his shoes, like she was guarding the path he would soon walk. He sat up and rubbed his face. His hands were shaking. Today would decide everything. Grace lifted her head and looked at him. Her eyes searched his face, reading it the way animals do, without words, without lies. She stood and pressed her body against his legs. "I know," Ethan whispered. "I'm scared too." He dressed slowly. The harness animal control had given Grace lay on the table. He picked it up, hesitating before buckling it around her chest. She stood perfectly still, trusting him completely. That trust felt heavier than fear. The courthouse was older than Ethan expected. Red brick walls worn smooth by time. Narrow steps. Tall windows that let in pale light. The air inside smelled like dust, paper, and old decisions. People turned to look when Ethan entered with Grace walking calmly beside him. Some smiled, some frowned, some whispered. Grace ignored them all, her head high, her steps careful but confident. Then the man arrived. He walked in loudly, boots striking the floor, voice already raised as he spoke to someone on his phone. He laughed as if this were an inconvenience, not a judgment of the soul. Grace froze. Her body stiffened. her ears pinned back. A low sound rose in her chest, not a growl, but a warning shaped by memory. Ethan knelt instantly, placing his hand on her side. "You're okay," he whispered. "I've got you." She stayed. The hearing began. The vet spoke first. She described the puppy's condition in careful detail. Severe dehydration, hypothermia, infection, internal bleeding. These injuries did not happen overnight, she said. They are the result of long-term neglect. Photos were passed forward. The judge studied them silently. Animal control followed. They described the property. The chain bolted to a post. The lack of shelter. The empty food bowls. The history of complaints. Then it was Ethan's turn. He stood slowly, his heart pounding so hard, he thought it might drown out his voice. "I didn't plan to be here," he said. "I didn't plan to love her. She just showed up." He told the story exactly as it happened. The rain, the scratching, the puppy placed at his feet like an offering, the look in Grace's eyes. "She didn't bark," Ethan said. "She didn't run. She asked." The man scoffed. "Nice story." The judge raised her hand. "Enough." She leaned forward. Animals are not objects, and cruelty is not ownership. The room held its breath. "I deny your claim," the judge said firmly. "Custody is awarded to Mr. Miller." Grace leaned into Ethan, trembling. For the first time in her life, the law was on her side. Winning did not feel like Ethan expected. There was no cheering, no sudden relief, just a quiet weight settling in his chest as reality continued moving forward. The puppy was alive, but he was not home. At the clinic, the vet showed Ethan charts and reports. The puppy, still small, still fragile, needed specialized care. Machines, monitoring, people who could watch him every minute of the day. "It's temporary," she said gently, "but it's necessary." Ethan nodded. He understood. Understanding did not make it easier. That night, Ethan lay on the floor with Grace while the puppies slept in a warm crate between them. The house was quiet, but not peaceful. "I don't know how to say goodbye," Ethan whispered. "I don't know how to trust that he'll come back." Grace stood and walked to the crate. She sniffed her puppy, slow and careful. Then she turned and looked at Ethan. She did not fight. The next morning, when the vet carried the puppy away, Grace followed calmly. Her body trembled, but she did not cry. Trust is not loud. When the door closed, Grace sat. She waited. Minutes passed, then hours. She did not move. Ethan sat beside her, tears sliding down his face. "He's alive because of you," he whispered. "And he's coming back because of you." Grace rested her head on his shoulder. She believed him. But belief did not stop the house from feeling empty. Weeks passed slowly. The house changed. Grace learned what toys were. She chased a ball and stopped suddenly, surprised by her own joy. She slept on the couch, then the bed, then wherever Ethan was. Hope was not there yet, but his presence filled every room. Ethan filled out adoption papers, training forms, vet records. He named her Grace because she endured, because she forgave. One afternoon, the phone rang. "You should come," the vet said. "There's someone who wants to see you." At the clinic, Grace froze. A puppy stumbled across the floor. Bigger, stronger, alive. Grace ran. She stopped inches away, sniffed once, then collapsed as the puppy climbed over her, licking her face wildly. Ethan dropped to his knees and cried without shame. "He's ready," the vet said, "to go home." That night, rain fell softly outside. Inside, 3 hearts finally rested. This was what love looked like. Even with the house full again, not every wound healed quickly. Grace slept more now. But sometimes she woke suddenly, body stiff, eyes searching the room like she was back on a chain again. Loud noises made her flinch. Men with heavy footsteps made her hide behind Ethan's legs. Love had saved her life, but memory still held power. Ethan saw it all. At night, when the puppy, now named Hope, slept curled against Grace's chest, Ethan would sit awake, listening to her breathing. He recognized that sound. He had made it himself after Lily died. That half sigh, half fear breath of someone afraid that peace would be taken away. One evening, while walking the park, they saw the man. He stood across the street, watching. Grace froze, her body lowered, old fear rushing back like it had never left. Hope whimpered softly, pressing closer to her mother. Ethan stepped forward, heart pounding. "Keep walking," he whispered. The man didn't approach. He only stared, but that was enough. That night, Grace refused to eat. She paced the house, checking doors, windows, corners. Ethan finally sat on the floor and pulled her close. "He can't touch you," Ethan said firmly. "Not ever again." Grace rested her head against his chest, shaking. That was when Ethan made a decision. Fear would not be allowed to follow them into their future. The hearing was over, but the case was not. Animal Control asked Ethan to testify again, this time to help protect other animals. The man was under investigation. Grace's story could save more lives. Ethan hesitated. Then he looked at Grace. "She walked through a storm for her child," he said. "I can stand in a room for her." The day of the testimony, Grace walked beside him calmly, her head high. She wore a blue harness now, one that said therapy dog in training. When Ethan spoke, he did not shake. He told the truth again, about neglect, about fear, about what happens when people look away. Grace lay at his feet the entire time, silent and steady. The ruling came weeks later. The man was banned from owning animals. Ethan cried when he heard, not from victory, from relief. That night, Grace slept deeply for the first time since she had arrived at his door. No nightmares, no sudden waking, just peace. 1 year later, rain fell again. Ethan stood at the same front door, watching water slide down the glass. Grace lay nearby, older now, fuller, calm. Hope chased a toy across the floor, strong and healthy. There was a sound, a knock. Ethan opened the door. A woman stood there, holding a flyer. "I heard you help dogs," she said quietly. Behind her, a scared shape shifted, a mother dog with a puppy. Ethan looked down at Grace. Grace stood. She walked forward. And in that moment, Ethan understood, love doesn't end. It travels. And sometimes it knocks. Subscribe for more true inspired stories. And like this video to help them reach the people who need them most.